Alright, so let's do a quick sum up, a quick wrap up on what we have just learned in this whole class, because it's really important for us to understand what we have gone through and what we have accumulated. So we first learned how to identify which portions of the code can be refactored and cleaned, and we did that by looking at an existing project and trying to figure out what's wrong with that code, what can we clean, if the classes are too long, if the methods are too long, and so. Now we also learned how to split and shorten huge methods. I know that you are probably facing this kind of behavior, and many colleagues are working and just creating huge methods, and it's really important for you to try to keep them as short as possible because it's easier to read and to maintain. So we learned how to split and shorten this kind of huge Goliath methods, and then we learn how to keep our logic simple, to always find the simplest route, because that allows us to have a simpler code, and simpler code is in the advantage not only to you but to your colleagues as well, because they can understand it. So we learn how to refactor existing code and trying to simplify our logic, and then we moved on to using enums for hard-coded content within the app. So this is really important for you to use if you have hard-coded content for multiple cases within the app. You kind of avoid having all of those when or switch statements that really take a lot of space within the code and just make it look like there's a lot of redundant code there. And we learn how to consistently clean and refactor our code with the use of the IDE. So this is a very important point because it allows you to have a mindset on having clean code. It allows you to always check and refactor your code using the shortcuts that Android Studio provides. And then we used Kotlin collection operators to simplify and to avoid that nesting of code that we get when we work with a lot of lists. We kind of nest 4 inside another 4 and the code becomes pretty difficult to read. Having collection operators allows us to have sequential code, and it's really easy to understand and see what actions are done on the actual list that we process. And then we moved on to learning how to correctly use null checks, and that's really important because this allows you to catch bugs faster. It has this mentality of failing fast, which is really important and essential for you. And then we learned how to split responsibilities of giant classes, because I know that we are all working sometimes with projects, with legacy projects that have giant classes, and we learned how to reduce their size by splitting their responsibilities in several other classes, in several specialized clients. And then we learned how to organize the project's classes by applying package structuring strategies. And we have applied actually an example of package by feature, and that was really interesting to see and to understand how we can do that on a real life project. And then finally we applied code styles and guidelines, and we learned how they should be followed and which of them are important and which of them are not that important. And that's really good because it allows you to have a consistent code base within one project or multiple projects that you work on. So finally, what we did, we basically allowed us to keep the code clean and easy to maintain, and that's a very important quality. And finally, I'm really glad that you have stuck to the end and you have followed me so far, and I'm really hoping that whatever you have learned from this course will help you in your day-to-day job and will help you on your personal projects, and you have gained some value after this course.